Uber, Bitcoin, self-driving cars. Combine those three together, and you have the self-owning taxi. A car that is a corporation that owns itself, pays for the car lease, the car insurance, and the gasoline from the revenues it makes, giving passengers a ride, and there's not a single human involved in that matter.
But one thing that's not participating in this move is Bitcoin right now. So, it's had a series of lower highs, a series of lower lows. How do you explain that disconnect between what gold's doing right now and the way that Bitcoin's been acting over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so a few factors are at play. One is the unwind of various carry trades and growth, which has been struggling a little bit. And when you look at Bitcoin's correlation with the NASDAQ, it's at a 2-year high. It's well below the highs that we had in kind of late 2022, but it's a 2-year high. The second reason is there are forced sellers in the market. The German government has sold all of its Bitcoin, $2 billion worth. The US government is selling Silk Road related coins. There are 2 major bankruptcies where creditors have just been paid out. That's Mt.Gox and Genesis. So with all this forced selling behind us, and this is a typical seasonal pattern where Bitcoin tends to struggle in the kind of 1 to 3 months after the halving, which was in April, and right pre-election, as the market comes to grips with whatever candidate wins, we're in for 4 more years of reckless fiscal policy. The history is that Bitcoin really hits its stride at that point. So we're buyers here. We think it recovers. Yeah, there's been a huge divergence year to date. Bitcoin's now up, say, 35%. These Bitcoin miners are essentially flat. So typically they are the higher beta plays on Bitcoin. And in the latest downdraft, they sold off quite a bit. And we think the market's missing a pretty strong underlying fundamentals.
Why? Why have they been selling off?
Just lack of interest, high beta, the unwind of the carry trade, like nothing specific that has to do with the Bitcoin miners that we can see. And what we do see is that week after week, these companies keep announcing new deals with AI companies, hyperscalers. We've seen at least 4 Bitcoin miners announce close to $1 billion revenue deals to transfer their energy to power AI, right? So we know that GPUs take about twice the power as CPUs, and we know that it takes about 4 years right now to connect to the grid in many locations. These miners have grid connections, and with a little bit of CapEx in some of these locations, they can repurpose these facilities in less than 1 year. The time value of that money, bringing that capacity on 3 years earlier, is huge. And these are typically companies with, I have to say it, bad balance sheets, either lots of debt and they all went bankrupt last cycle, or just continually issuing equity at the market. What these AI bids are doing is lowering the cost of capital and providing a more sustainable financing stream for these companies. So on our numbers, if they were to repurpose just 20% of their electrical capacity, we think the stocks can double with no change in the Bitcoin mining profits. So the numbers look very compelling. The data center companies are trading at north of 30 times, $30 million per megawatt of electrical capacity that they control, $30 million. The Bitcoin miners are trading at $3 million, right? So now it's not a complete one-for-one transition. They need to find customers. They need to buy the GPUs or have someone else buy the GPUs and install them. But there is an enormous arbitrage. And the companies that have been most aggressive on this year to date, Core Scientific, TeraWulf, Iris Energy, those are the stocks that have outperformed. We just had another one after the bell at 4 p.m. today, BTBT, $700 million AI deal. Our hunch is that as more of these Bitcoin miners make these announcements, those will be the stocks that outperform because it brings their cost of capital down.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And make sure you go to TikTok, like, and follow. And yes, Bitcoin has been under some selling pressure, but stocks have also been under that same selling pressure, guys. So we know the Fed is just shrinking some of this liquidity. We know they have to build this fourth industrial revolution. And this is a wonderful video. Yes, it's going to be boring, but this is a wonderful video to show you the next steps, because now Bitcoin miners are making AI deals for energy. And we know energy web token is going to be important We know Polkadot is going to be important in others. I've done several videos on this, but now everything is starting to link up. But we have data centers boosting miner stocks. And I think we'll have one more phase in the Bitcoin mining as far as consolidation, and then we're off to the races. Now we have another breakout, guys, as kids go to school. We've seen this movie before. I did a Patreon video on this because you don't know which one is which. You need to go watch the video. I don't want to get into it. But yes, we have Mpox and shingles look exactly the same. But like I said, I did a Patreon video. If you're part of the Patrons, make sure you check it out. And then we have eggs go back up in price. But guys, when on the grocery store, everything is high. And they pick and choose which item they want to make expensive. Remember, guys, all the food is owned by a few companies. It's all corporate greed. And they can squeeze whatever item. We've seen it in eggs. We've seen it in turkeys. We've seen it in ham. Like I stated, we've seen the movie before. And then, guys, we had the DNC convention started off opening up with the event of the C word. That was very, very interesting. Those who watched the opening, someone sent it to me, told me make sure I watch it. And remember, whoever becomes president, guys, they're going to move us over to this fourth industrial revolution. And then also, we know the United States World Reserve currency is going to end. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Because he knows, when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Since December. Now, this is all after the World Health Organization last week declared Mpox a global public health emergency. That's its highest form of alert. Angelica Peoples is here with the latest on that particular move in world health. This is nowhere near what the response was like during the early days of COVID, but it's still very important. What exactly is the context around this particular move by the WHO?
Yeah, so right now, Africa remains the epicenter of this Mpox outbreak. More than 17,000 cases have been reported there and 500 deaths since the start of this year, mainly in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. A new clade, think of it as a variant, is driving this surge, and a lot of the cases are in children, which suggests that it's spreading more easily through casual contact.
This strain potentially is more contagious through casual contact. So it's not airborne, it's spreading through contact. But the question is it spreading more easily through contact? A lot of the cases probably with children in the DRC are household contact, also spread within institutions inside hospitals and healthcare facilities that are overcrowded. But you worry about what would happen if it got into an institutional setting. Would it spread more easily?
Now, eggs are getting more expensive. Once again, prices rose for a third straight month in July, soaring 19% year over year. The increase this time is linked to an outbreak of avian flu earlier this year. In July, the average price of a dozen large grade A eggs topped $3 for the first time in more than a year. That is still more than 20% below the recent high back in January of 2023. Which followed a previous spike in avian flu cases.
I had to do some more digging on this because I didn't. Okay, so we know they crashed last year after.
After the run-up.
St. Louis Fred, thank you for being a public service, tracks the price of eggs.
Sure.
It is $3 right now. The peak was when it went to, call this 4 or 5. Pre-pandemic, we were about $1.62.
Right. And we've seen this in the past, and there was I forget the biggest egg producer.
Cal-Maine.
Remember when that quadrupled because of the Atkins diet? The Democrats that didn't want Biden to leave because they were worried about who his... They in fact were saying it was going to be an open convention. There were some saying that because they didn't want Vice President Harris because they thought that she would be a drag on... Can you believe the way things have turned, and how did it happen?
Well, I think we've had cut much of the program this morning. The economic messaging, it is the number one issue. It's the economy, it's the border,
but it's not
security.
Biden anymore. So people have already forgotten that they hated the economy.
And that's genius marketing, right? It's a change. It's a change in the leader. Forget the economic problem.
She says on day one she's going to do all this. Day one was January 21st, 2021.
But can we back up and say, where do we really stand, and what What should we be looking for in terms of economic policy?
I don't know. Will you do that today, finally?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I've been waiting for it.
You've been waiting for that? Okay. Look, there's really good news for America, which is America is in the best place in the world. It's the best economy. We're coming out of the pandemic better than anybody else. There's really bad news. We have had a bout of extreme inflation. Grocery prices, if you had a $100 grocery basket, it's $125 or more. Wages have not kept up, and we've increased our national debt by 25%. It's 125% of GDP. Those are both really bad things. If I'm evaluating who's going to have the better economic plan, it's who's going to take the strengths and address those weaknesses. And what I'm hearing is blaming grocery store owners and others for the economic problems. That's not how you get out of this.
Does Trump and his advisors, do they know how to take the right message, or is it going to be tariffs?
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told his members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will. During that auction that we saw a little bit before, the attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of treasury markets. Now,
it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy. And you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.